Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry about that, guys. We're good to go now. Thanks for staying with us and staying tuned, and welcome to the first Taiwan on Tuesday. We got John, Howard, and Ken here. They're going to tie up some flies, do some fishing, talking about fishing, and give you an updated fishing report. So shout out to Wyoming Whiskey. Thanks for not letting the guys go thirsty. And we've got a little giveaway too. We're going to give away a hat, a beanie, a koozie. So just leave us a comment on the group there, and we'll pick a random winner at the end of the night, and you guys will get some free swag. Also, thanks to Rep Your Water. They give us some awesome glasses. So let's get talking.
Okay.
Take number 2.
Yeah, there we go. Let's see. So yeah, this fly I picked tonight, I wouldn't necessarily say it is so current for winter fishing, whatever, which it can be, but it has a bunch of moves, some techniques, some thoughts of how I think, but probably more than anything, if we replace materials, do different colors, do different sizes, it pretty much will cover just about all of our life cycles, for the insects that when they live underwater.
First timer over here.
Yeah. Anyway, it's kind of starts off with a version of Andy Pouillon's AP Nymph, and then goes into some moves that I do a little bit different. And we're going to tie it on a relatively larger hook just for being able to see. John's an excellent fly, magnificent fly tyer, so you got some input there.
Yeah.
Shoot it out there. One of the things from
Randolph said, nice pour, Howard. and Spain said, liquid diet.
It's what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the doctor tomorrow. Okay, so one of the things over the years from teaching classes and such that I see right away is when people put a hook in a vise. They do it haphazardly. They might do it like this. They put it in like this. They put it in. It's not necessarily such a big deal with maybe some streamers and some nymphs and the such, but for dry flies, it definitely is very important on how you put that hook in the vise. It needs to be horizontal. I want to catch just enough of it in the bend of the hook here so it's secure, but not so much that it weakens it. I don't want to go over the barb. As you can maybe see right there, I'm just right at the barb, because especially in dry fly tying, we're going to get our proportions for our fly off the parts of the hook. And I know I told you, Claire, I'd take 5 minutes to put the hook in. So anyway, further ado, the other thing, this is kind of old, but what I find, especially with the younger crowd, they want something to sink so fast, they want to sink deep, they want to and they kind of forget on, fish has the brain size of a pea, so it doesn't take a lot really for a fly to catch fish. But for nymph to really ride properly, it doesn't need to be way overweight. So I'm just going to throw some stuff on here, some thread. And it doesn't have to be side to side. So old school. This is size 10 hook. So we want to have our lead, if we're weighting it with lead, to match somewhat the diameter of the hook. And we take 20. And we subtract the hook size from 20. So that would be 10. So I should have 10 wraps of lead wire on here. And I'm going to start right in the middle of the hook. 6, 8, 9, and 10. So here's the other little thing. The back side, I'm up on your side looking at me. The front side, I'm up on this side. I'm going to back my thread off, and I'm going to just go through there, one, and just follow that thread through. I'm going to get to the front, and now I'm going to take that front stuff off of my side, back off of your side. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but in all actuality, I have one more wrap of lead on the bottom side of this hook now, as opposed to the top. So with that, plus the bend of the hook, this fly is going to keel properly in the water. Okay, with that, this isn't going to be a step-by-step program, so I'm going to throw some stuff going here. These guys were fishing today. Why don't you talk a little bit where you went, where you've been going, see what's going on.
Actually, I just need to clarify something. It is Tuesday, and I'm actually part of the housekeeping people that come in and clean the place. There was an empty chair. They slapped the name tag on me and told me to sit here and smile. So just in case some of the info was wrong, I just want to make sure.
He's kidding.
So anyway, go ahead, Jeff.
Where'd you guys go fishing today?
So, today we went to Henry's Fork near Ashton, Idaho. It was a very nice day today. You know, we're talking, what was it, high 30s, or we saw on the
I would
bank.
say mid-40s.
I was gonna say on one of the bank signs said 43 degrees. So
mid-40s. Yeah.
just the weather alone was really nice. But ended up catching some fish today. Nothing too crazy. You know, we got them on an array of nymphs. You know, small streamers, swinging them with small switch rods. Kind of the typical, you know, maybe winter program, at least early winter, you know, as we're kind of waiting for those fish to start looking up and actually start taking dry flies. Saw plenty of dry flies today, but very, very few fish coming up. That's just kind of the way it is this time of year. I don't know. You know.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here just real quick. So here's another little tip for you guys. Whenever we have a feather and stems and we're trying to take things apart and put things on, if I pull my fibers away from that stem so that the tips are all even, when I get them even, I'll put those in my left hand. For you lefties, would be your right. Now take the stem, hold those very, very hard in your left hand, and pull the stem away from the fibers. And now when I'm done, those tips are all even. I don't have to worry about them or whatever. So tail set should be the hook gap. And so what was happening today, guys?
Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, Jonathan brought his girlfriend Emily, and she outfished us.
That's right.
It's not
But-
very uncommon.
But
Go girls.
Yep, exactly. Great to have her along and stuff. It was a beautiful day, but very atypical of normal winter fishing. A lot of times you're freezing your ass off. Oops, I'm not sure I could say that. Anyways, yeah. So one of the things we're probably going to talk about is being dressed properly for fishing in the wintertime. Wintertime is a great opportunity. You're going to have all the river to yourself for the most part. So if you like to fish some of your favorite spots and do it in solitude, it's a great time to do it. As Jonathan alluded, we're waiting for the longer days, the warmer temperatures, both evening and daytime, to get the bugs going, get the fish active. But in the meantime, you know, you want to make sure you dress properly, because if you're comfortable, you're going to stay out longer. And that's another thing, and I'm probably going to jump all over the place and stuff, but you know, as far as the time of day to fish, typically you don't have to be up at the crack of dawn. wintertime, if you're out there by 11 o'clock to 3:30, 4 o'clock, that's the warmest time of the day, and you'll have plenty of angling opportunities. But again, back to dressing properly, you want to dress in layers. I usually wear like smart wool socks. For my waders, I firmly believe that the boot foots keep you a lot warmer. They're easy to get in and out of, and so I think that's a plus. Usually long johns like Sims or Patagonia or even hot chilies is a great
Some kind
I
of
don't
wicking.
know. Yeah, something to wick and keep your body dry.
And you can layer,
Yes.
accordingly for the day.
Yeah, definitely.
Most of the time, I start out with more of like a midweight,
Mm-hmm.
Patagonia, and then
Yeah.
I steelhead a lot, so then I'll go to something maybe heavier,
Mm-hmm.
which is just about as cold as it is.
Yeah.
Like what you guys
Yeah.
are fishing today.
Yeah, like the cold weather shirt that Jonathan is wearing from Sims. Awesome
Model
shirt.
for us.
Yes.
Model plus.
I had a similar shirt on today.
Yeah.
Very, very warm, very comfortable. Underneath, I have a Sims, their Extreme top, which is a midweight or heavyweight actually, and it does have the buff and the head, whatever you call the head thing.
It's just got like a hood. With
Yeah, the hoodie. Yeah, the hoodie and the buff. Don't you? I could tell you.
You've had too much whiskey already,
Yeah, no, I
kid.
could tell you the mixture for cleaning, like bleach, a quarter cup of bleach to a gallon of water.
Okay, I'm gonna drop you off here.
Okay.
I'm gonna drop you off here. Okay, here's another little tip for you guys, tying nymphs. And it doesn't matter what size that you're tying.
What's the exact bug we're tying?
Okay,
Just for
well,
those just
this is
tuning in.
This would be a version of a hare's ear. But again, it's my version, along with some technique from AP All-Purpose Nymph. But in this, nymphs should be tied in this style of nymph should be tied in what's called a 50-40-10 proportions. So my tail set position is right above the barb of my hook, right there. My tail is the gap of the hook. And here is usable hook shank, which, if you keep hanging in on these Tuesday nights, I'm going to be talking about that a lot. And that's going to be from the barb to the back of the eye. That's usable hook shank. So proportions for a nymph should be 50%, 40%, 10. So 50% abdomen, 40% thorax, and 10% head, which when I'm going to tie this off. And you'll see that as it comes. Okay. You guys are up?
Okay. I'm just going to finish up. Another thing to have is a pair of gloves, really nice gloves, especially those that are convertible, or you can, those mittens that Sims makes, those are really, really comfortable. I bought their latest Extreme ones, and those are really comfortable. And then a good hat. A lot of your heat escapes through your head, so you want to make sure that you keep a nice warm noggin, and definitely have a pair of sunglasses as well.
Well, yeah, some beanie like this will always work.
Yeah.
You don't have to have anything fancy, just something that obviously keeps your head warm is definitely key. But yeah, with winter fishing, just going back to rivers that we typically fish out here, we're talking, again, the Henry's Fork like we fished today. The South Fork of the Snake, is popular again, especially during the winter when flows are quite low. It's easy enough to wade, you don't have to feel like you have to get out super far in the river. And then the Snake right here in Jackson,
So when do you, like right now,
yeah,
I always would say, the Snake definitely would be a day-to-day fishery, having to pick the right day, where the Henry's Fork and the South Fork would be much more consistent.
yeah, exactly. Those fish seem to be more inclined to feed all the time. Not that obviously the fish and the snake stop feeding, but you definitely notice a difference in regards to like Howard was saying, some days you have to pick and choose what river to go to, especially the upper Snake here, where some days it's lights out and some days you're really kind of having to work for them. But those are kind of, the typical, rivers we're fishing this time of year. And right now it's a lot of midge fishing, whether it's dries or nymphs. You can always fish stoneflies. Our rivers out here have a lot of stoneflies in them.
What kind of stones?
Typically, we're going to be looking at, golden stoneflies, and it's a couple of subspecies. They all look pretty similar. Depends on the river you go to. They'll have salmon flies like the Henry Fork. I was flipping rocks over today. Saw a couple of salmon fly, stoneflies out there, and they're pretty good size. We were talking earlier, squalas, is a spring deal out here. Sometimes it's shoddy where you hit it right. Sometimes you can't find them, but they're definitely there. The capneo we get, another month or so, or this coming month, or whatever.
You should start seeing them anytime.
Yeah.
Small
Okay.
black stoneflies that are, about 18, somewhere along the line. So pretty small, but the fish definitely notice them.
16, big, small 16, big 18.
Yeah. So a size 17.
7, exactly.
Well, then you'll see them definitely.
But that's typically what you're seeing. And then, I like to swing flies a lot coming from the Midwest. Not that it's steelhead fishing necessarily, but I definitely like taking small switch rods, either a Skagit or like a Scandi style line, and swinging small streamers for trout out here. We come across a lot more trout than you do steelhead and other migratory fish quite often. So if you're ever thinking about it, trout fishing, in my opinion, is probably the best way to get into it, just because I think there's a lot more opportunity with swinging flies for trout with a trout spay rod. And with that, we're fishing, pretty small streamers, size
How many rams?
10s. Well, I said 5, but you
Okay,
told me
5.
3 the other day, depending on the size of the fly.
Well, I picked smaller.
Smaller
rib,
so 5. But, I don't know if you want to go back to tying it.
No.
Okay.
We do have a question.
Yeah.
A Robbie McLaughlin wants to know what you use in your hair. It looks so good.
He wants to borrow money. Now, who's he talking to?
You.
You, Howard, you're the one with the luscious hair here.
Yeah.
He wants to know what products you use.
What products?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or does Wendy know because she's the one that does your
are
hair?
you kidding me?
Oh, okay.
Okay, one of the things, back on this fly, whatever, all right, this is not natural, no, you can't keep this stuff like this, whatever, no, I mean, I could go out in a windstorm and it ain't moving.
Have you heard of Brill Cream?
If you have, you're older than me. But as you kind of saw, if you were watching here, the difference is with this, I used the tail, and then I just brought the pheasant tail on up, and now I'm going to use that as the wing case. So relatively pretty simple, gone over, we've ribbed it. Now this is going to be a little bit different move, totally unnecessary, but that's why we're going to come up here, we're going to make a dubbing loop.
Now, my question, Howard, is why you wrap the rib up so high with the high? Is that just to build more
Secure,
bulk?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to have bulk there anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm just securing it.
Okay.
So, I mean, that rib is not going anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coming from, if you guys noticed, when I installed it
Yeah.
on the backside, all the way from here back to here, and now I'm going to tie it up back there, that rib is going
Yeah, it's not going to come out.
to go anywhere.
Yep.
So this is totally unnecessary, but it does work quite nicely. There's a lot of you guys that have taken my classes and stuff. I am not a fan of dubbing wax. We got a great story about a guy that came into the shop one day to buy dubbing wax.
I think I remember this.
And I told him, I go like, we don't have dubbing wax. What do you mean you don't have dubbing wax? Dubbing wax is for people that don't know how to dub. And he left immediately.
Went to a different fly shop,
Right.
probably.
Yeah. But in this case, when I'm doing a dubbing loop, I will throw a little bit on there like so. Now I'm going to use a different dubbing. I used a lighter hare's ear on the front. Now I'm going to use a darker hare's ear, on the rear, on the abdomen, and now I'm going to use a darker stuff on the front.
So how many fish did you guys catch today?
Well,
Stephanie Connors wants to know.
Uh-oh.
So I ended up with 2 fish today, a couple of nice rainbows, and then my girlfriend had ended up with 2 nice rainbow trout. One was, I'd say probably around 18 inches, maybe a little smaller, and it was on her 3rd cast of the day, so it was
Nice.
kind of a good way to start the day out for sure. So all rainbows today. It's kind of the way it's been for Ken and I. Is it's either all brown trout or all rainbow trout. We've been catching a lot more rainbows than browns though this year for whatever reason, but it's not going to complain.
Yeah, it was really strange earlier in the winter. I was catching nothing but browns on the Henry's Fork. Same place where we were today. It was mostly with dry flies and stuff, but lately it's been all rainbows, even talking with the other anglers and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to interrupt you just for a second, Ken. So the other thing is when you put dubbing on, you want to do it in a clockwise situation, spinning it onto the thread for right-handers. If you're lefty, you want to do it counterclockwise. So I'm spinning this clockwise.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
But, no,
That's maybe what happened.
yeah, that's no problem. And the reason why we're doing that is because every time I put a wrap of thread around, it will go clockwise. Now, there is some people that I know, I don't mention names, that say go counterclockwise. And I got going like, what are they talking about? You got to go clockwise. But if you think about this, and I'm looking down, I'm going clockwise. If I bring this way, and I'm going around, I'm going counterclockwise. So it just depends on where you're looking at. But if you're looking from the fly down, you would do it clockwise, because every time I go around now, it's going to tighten that up.
What were you saying, Ken? Before?
Before I rudely interrupted you.
Anyways, so we're kind of right in the middle of winter fishing, and as John alluded to, we're fishing the Snake, the South Fork, and Henry's Fork. Right now, all the flows are typical midwinter. The Jackson Dam is at 486 CFS. The South Fork at Irwin is 938 CFS. Temperature on that water the other day was about 48 degrees, so we're kind of headed in the right direction. And then the Henry's Fork below Ashton is at about 884 CFS. So all of them are very, very wadeable. In fact, at Henry's Fork in Ashton, you can literally just cross the river right there at the access. I've also had the opportunity to go and fish the Madison a couple weeks ago, and there's some midge activity going on up there. Excellent nymph activity, as well as swinging flies. And that's another thing I want to acknowledge both Howard and Jonathan for kind of taking me under their wing. I just started the trout spade this fall, and I'm loving it. It's really extended my winter season as I wait for the dry fly activity to get going. But it wasn't hard to convince me how effective that style of fishing is. So
Yeah.
wanted to thank both of you for doing that.
All right, I have to interrupt now. I just saw a toothbrush from someone who knows nothing about fly tying. Why do you have a toothbrush?
I'm doing there, okay, standard hare's ear nymph. And I'm going to do this a little bit different. Standard hare's ear nymph, we want that thorax to be real buggy like that because it's representing the legs of the insect, whatever. So I'm just pulling out, and that's the other reason why I put this into a dubbing brush. So I can get this real buggy effect on the thorax as opposed to the abdomen back here. There was something, oh, okay.
So the toothbrush is not for your hair? You got a comb for that?
Are you kidding me?
It's a pocket comb.
need to finally tune brush for this. Mom. What did Randolph say? Nice pour?
Yep.
Yeah.
I said, well, we didn't get it to look at, did we? We got it to drink, I thought.
Oh, I'll drink to that.
Okay, so you brought up the Madison.
I brought it.
Brought up.
Oh, yeah.
So Ken, back in my day before I really started gotten to be addicted to steelhead, I did a tremendous amount of winter fishing in the area. And without a doubt, 2, 3, 4, 5. Without a doubt, the Madison, in my opinion, what is available through regulations and stuff is the best winter fishery that we have in our lower Yellowstone area.
Yeah,
2.5 hours away.
Yeah.
I used to go, coming up here now, Feb, get up at 7 o'clock, or leave at 7 o'clock, get there at 9:30, get your stuff ready, 10 o'clock, fishing kind of started, fish till 3,
Yeah.
jump back in my car, come back home, I'm home before dark,
Exactly.
and so yeah, I spent 5 hours of travel, but the fishing, awesome,
It's
and
incredible.
back in those days, there wasn't any, very little traffic.
Yeah. And that's a big stretch of river too. I mean, we're
Oh.
talking about from basically Hebgen Dam all the way down to Three Forks.
Yeah.
The Bear Trap area is one of my favorites,
Below-
just outside of Bozeman, below Ennis Lake.
Yeah, below that.
The hatches there, the accessibility and the hatches are just incredible. And so, yeah, that is a very worthwhile trip to do.
Okay, another little tip here. Not such a big deal on nymphs, not such a big deal on larger flies like this. But I tied the wing case when I pulled it over with 5 wraps. So I know I got 5 wraps of thread there. And again, this is totally unnecessary, but we're just doing it because we can. And this is another AP all-purpose anti-couillons technique for that fly. All aquatic insects have 6 legs, so I pulled 3 fibers over this way, and I'm going to take off 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to put back on 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to pull 3 over on this side. And I'm going to take off 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. So, if you guys really start tying smaller flies or whatever, it's a Atlantic salmon fly tying technique. It is transferred over to some of the very, very best fly tiers in the world to less wraps. So, I can take off wraps, I can put on, as long as I know where I'm at with them. So now, I've got those secured, and I'm just going to build a head, and this is going to go back to where I talked about the proportions.
Would you say it's about a eye length, if that makes any sense? Like the length of the eyes or hook is about the size of the head, or is it less?
I'd say it's a little less.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Another real tip for you, if you want small heads on just about any fly, as I go around and wrap this, it's going to make this thread go into a rope. I want it flat. So you can't see it here, but I'm going to pull this down, and it's going to, as this thread starts to get flat and unwind, my bobbin down here is going,
Mine never does that.
Does it make that sound?
No.
No?
so again, you're probably never going to see any whip finish like this. This is another. So there's 4. And the reason why I whip finish, because I tie a lot of small flies. So I want to be precise on where I'm putting my whip finish in. So in this way, I can put each wrap exactly where I want it.
So we got another question. If you had to choose one size elk hair caddis to pick, what size would you pick?
That's a question for you, Mr. Caddis.
If I only had one size elk hair cat,
Any time of the year.
probably a 14.
Oh, smokes.
Different opinion, Ken?
Yeah, I would say an oversized 18. I would say a 17, and that's what I tie. I tie a 17.
Yeah, but we're talking everywhere.
Yeah.
We're not talking where you fish.
Yeah.
I'm talking, you'd fish an 18 on the holdback?
No, about a 14.
Really? Okay.
That's
Easily,
14.
the housekeeper is easily convinced.
Yeah. No, I mean, a 16 would be a great
Yeah,
all around.
16 would be
But
a
I
good
mean,
all
if you
around.
really think about
Yeah.
everywhere,
Yeah.
I'd probably
And
do a
that,
14.
that pattern can represent other
oh, totally.
Yeah.
bugs other than
Totally.
a caddis too, so yeah. I'd have to concur with you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I could clip these legs off right now because a standard hare's ear wouldn't have legs. But I'm doing the AP style, and that's why we did this way, and I put 3 on each side, so we got 6 legs. And I come in right where the wing case started from the rear, and I'll cut those, and now I got legs there also. So again, very universal fly, changing materials, changing, different colors, sizes. I mean, this could be definitely that stonefly
Yeah,
that you saw
absolutely.
in all versions of that
Yeah.
stonefly. Be it the Terra Narcissus, be it the golden, be it whatever, be it down to our little early days, the
Yeah.
yellow Sallies, whatever, just changing stuff up. So here's your other deal. Okay, so where everybody wants the crowd say, oh, I can't stop in the middle of my fly because then my thorax is not going to be so there, just because it's so buggy here. There's 50%. Come up here, see there's 50% right to the eye. Come back, there's 40% of the thorax, 10% of the head. So now you have a fly that's very easy to proportion, and when it rides in the water with the way the lead is put on and stuff, there.
Yeah.
Twist it around.
Oh, here, let's do this.
Ooh, ah. What hook are you tying
Okay,
on?
and again,
Jim's asking.
standard nymph hooks are typically, back in the old days, were typically 1 extra long, heavy wire hooks. So in this case, I was using kind of a newer thing from Umpqua, the U series. So this is a 101. You can read on here, sprout hook, bend, 1 extra long, 1 extra strong. Umpqua would be a 3761, Daiichi would be a 1560. If you're going to do a bead head, myself personally, I want to go to 2 extra long. I don't know, do you?
I don't necessarily notice a difference. Now, I'm also not going to say I'm as, what's what I'm looking for? I don't look at it as being super critical in regards to the length of the hook and everything. I mean,
No.
I'm proportionate to what amount of shank length I have with the bead on there. If you don't use it with the bead, then you have the whole shank length type of thing.
No,
So if-
push comes to shove,
Yeah.
I'm gonna use just the standard.
Yeah, exactly, but if you have preference, yeah,
But
you run a
if
2X.
you did go to a 2 extra long, Umpqua, to put a bead on.
Yeah.
If you wanted that sizing. Umpqua would be a 5262, Daiichi, I think, what is,
I don't know.
1170, I think. 1710, I took notes here.
There you go.
And we do the fully mill.
Yeah, fully milled.
That'd be a 5085. In the U series here, it would be 103 or 102, I think. Anyway, all these materials, when through this series of us tying on Tuesday nights, will be we'll have all the materials for the flies that we tie. If you guys want to see more in-depth tying, whatever, let us know. Comment. Win yourself a beanie and a
The koozie.
yeah. And we will have some nights. Some nights we're going to have Scott Sanchez. John is going to tie some nights. Fantastic fly tire here.
I'll be vacuuming in the background.
So
So if you have to leave with a few tips of people fishing in the winter, what would it be? Where do the fish hold? What's a secret that maybe you're not willing to share or willing to share, and that really kind of helps specifically like in these cold winter months?
I would say that really determines the fishery that you're
Yeah.
fishing. I mean, the Madison is different than down here. What I find here, okay, here's a little thing that I have for myself. Seas Queenie. One of the things I have for myself is what I find on when the snake really finally starts to come around, because I'm a little bit like, I'm kind of a dry fly kind of nut.
Snob, you could say.
He's not,
No,
but
it's not. No, you can do whatever you want. If you want to dread, you can get a Zemco. Fine. But what I find over here is that I can use much more singular patterns.
Yeah.
I can use a parachute atom. I mean, the midge might be a 2022, but I can use a parachute atoms in a size 18, and they'll eat it. Now you go to the Madison, they ain't gonna work. But over there, I can use the size 16 Griffiths Nat,
And they'll eat it.
And my thought there is just that they see much, in a square foot of water, they're seeing far more bugs than they do here. I mean, even though we look at it here and go like, oh my God, it's tremendous, but it's not like, so cluster patterns over there seem to work better for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then over here, I look at more singular patterns and I can get away with bigger flies.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And, the Henry's Fork down in Ashton is very similar to the Madison with the tremendous hatches and stuff going on there. As far as water types, I'm looking for seams and slower water, deeper water where the fish can, that little bumpy
Nervous.
foot cream, nervous water stuff. And again, that's kind of looking from the dry fly perspective.
Yeah, but the difference is, if you see them in their dry fly, they're in nymph.
Yeah.
So, if you want a nymph.
Yeah. I mean,
But let's give us some real, common nymphs, midging, right now.
yeah, so, I mean, a zebra midge, you can't go wrong with a zebra midge. Whether
Ice cream
it's-
cone?
Yeah, it's an ice cream cone, a standard one with a silver bead.
Silver bead.
There's a bunch that, you can use,
We could
red bead, stuff like that,
Okay, so let's talk color by.
Yeah, I mean, I usually, what colors do you like to fish? I usually carry,
Three colors.
I'd say I usually do black, red, and olive. Did you do
Black, red, and gray.
Yeah,
For
okay.
me.
Yeah,
Here.
yeah, yeah.
Here.
0 for me because I've never used one. So I gotta be honest. I'm trying to be honest tonight.
Okay, get the broom and mop.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll need the plug though, for you like. One thing I'd like to throw out there, and I'm kind of surprised nobody asked about it, but a lot of times people ask, how do you keep your guides from freezing? Some people will just dip their rod in the water because supposedly it's warmer than the air and help melt it, but then before you know it's frozen again. I know Loon makes this ice-off paste. I've never used it, but what I use on a regular basis, even during summertime, I'm always pledging my rod and, just lemon. Of course, it's got to be lemon pledge, and I'll do the rod. I'll do the guides
Are
and
you
stuff.
talking about like
Actual on the
pledge that you
lemon pledge,
clean?
furniture
Okay.
polish. Yeah, and that kind of helps keep the moisture off. Pam, some people have used Pam, the cooking oil stuff. Chapstick, if you rub that on, very lightly, that helps out a little bit too.
That's pretty much
What that I saw.
That ice-off paste is, yeah. So,
Robbie, did I mess it up?
No, Howard, it's sprung right back up. Yeah, I think one of the biggest things too to take into consideration for the wintertime is just the willingness to change throughout the course of the day. Don't go into the day thinking I'm just going to fish nymphs, I'm just going to fish dry flies. Because one day it's going to be there, and the next it's not. You got to be willing to kind of change depths on your nymphs.
I mean,
It's different.
that's all the time, especially in the winter.
Well, exactly. I mean, fishing can be tough in general, but during the wintertime, you're just adding to the difficulty, I think, just
You gotta-
because cold water's
Like
making it
right
smaller.
now, you got a 3-hour wind.
Yeah, about midday, and that's about it. I'd say 11 or 12, kind of that magic time to really get out there and fish.
But coming up, okay, this is the way I look at it. See what you guys, okay, coming up, okay, so midges right now.
Mhm.
Next thing that's gonna be coming up is Capdia.
Yep.
It's gonna be the little black stones. They're tiny. Differences with those is most people think that stoneflies, they crawl out, that's what we get used to. They call it, no, captives actually can, or majority of them do emerge in the water.
Mhm.
And you are going to find yourself fishing maybe to a particular fish, whatever, and you're throwing midge, and they ain't eating, and you go like, you gotta be kidding me. And they're actually on that little
Yeah.
emerging black stone, and they get really picked
Yeah.
up. But again, they gotta win sometime. So Captain, next, next.
There's some swallows after that, right?
Well, I would
Yeah.
say.
After that, what would come after? I mean, it depends on where you go.
Well, but, I mean, we're talking
Yeah.
south,
Yeah.
Yellowstone. Art.
Uveitis.
Yeah, blue wings will come off if you're on the Henry Ford.
I got one in between there.
Oh,
I'm thinking March, Rithagenia and March
yes, the
Brown.
Rithrogenas, or
Yeah.
Rithrogenas, March Browns, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
They are totally aggravating.
that
Because
is.
you can have a blanket hat and things going everywhere,
Yeah.
and there's not a fish up.
Mhm.
And tuck,
Yeah.
and there you go. There's your trout spay swinging a soft head.
Yeah.
Because that fly emerges extremely quickly, pops through whatever, and those fish are
Whoa.
eating on those right underneath the surface. And you're
Yeah.
going like, how can you not be eating on the surface with
Yeah.
all the,
Yeah.
well, they are, but
They
they're
are.
eating right underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
very good. Yeah.
But, yeah, that's kind of what you're looking forward to anyways.
Mhm.
So, and then if we're lucky enough, on our side, we might be able to get some betas.
Mhm.
But most of the time,
Yeah.
by the time that water warms up, stuff like that,
Runoff.
we're going into runoff.
Yeah.
But on South Fork, Henry's
Henry's
Fork,
Park.
betas,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of gets us from here to middle of
April?
Some,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd say April, and then you got the caddis coming up.
Oh, we don't want to talk about
Okay. Speaking next
Another hour.
it. So you people that live out of state, like in Virginia, whatever, you don't want to come out for that.
It's not worth it.
No.
Yeah.
But,
Awesome.
Claire, how'd we do?
You did pretty good.
How's the fly look? You gonna catch a fish on it?
Oh, like I said,
It's Howard,
fish
so-
has a brain the size of a pea. I actually kind of, when I flopped over there, when I was doing that, dubbing loop. Okay, so.
I'd eat it.
But proportions, even down to this. There's a beginning fly tire, can't go wrong. It'll always help you.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you that live in town, we got all the supplies. Come in and talk to Howard. He can give you a much more
Talk to-
step-by-step. Talk to everyone.
Talk to all these guys.
We got everything you need in the store. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. We've got I think my head might be cut off.
I think so too. Look at
It's
me.
just a bottle.
Come on over here.
We've got a beanie, a hat, and a koozie to give away. So just drop a comment down there, and I'll pick a random name. And even if you live out of state, I'll ship it to you so you guys can rep some high country gear all over the country.
Well, now how are you picking this random? What do you mean you're
Look,
picking
there's a
random?
website. I pick all the names, and then you just do a random name generator.
Yeah. It spits out a name.
Pops out a name. Yeah.
Tech,
There's no bias.
techie.
Yeah, very cool.
Wow.
And also, again, shout out to Wyoming Whiskey and Wrap Your Water.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah, well, stay tuned. We got a lot of these in the future. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers.